I'm really interested in
Yeah.
how in the juxtaposition between small independent film here in Australia and a studio run film in the US and then filming around the world, obviously. But how did you find that transition? Was it difficult to try to get used to like a whole new system, or is it just a matter of just bigger?
Oh yeah, it's so different. Like the best way I could describe it, like, I'll just give myself a disclaimer. Everybody I worked with on that movie, I really love. From all of the studio executives that we dealt with, to all of the producers, to all the cast and crew, it was really good. But it's different, when you're making a movie like a movie under $2 million, like Hounds of Love, which you wrote. You're working with actors who are doing it because they just desperately want to do it, not for the money or anything like that. It's really different. And, there is no expectation. And we were making the film on, on so little money that the movie was never expected to do well. So the buck stopped with me. I'm obviously very collaborative, and the producer, Melissa Kelly, was great and really understood what I wanted to do with the movie, and supported me in my vision. But then the minute you're making a studio movie, it's art meets commerce. And the best way that I've described it to friends of mine is making a studio movie is like making a 2-hour television commercial. You're surrounded by other people, even in Video Village while you're shooting. It's like, okay, cool, I got that. Do you think you should get one? Do you think you should get one? Hey, the shirt was, like it's just like doing a TV commercial. So it ultimately, you don't get to make your film. And so yeah, it's a very different thing. I read an interview with Justin Cazelle, is an Australian director who always fascinates me. He's done great stuff, and I'm such an admirer of his work. And I haven't actually seen his movie Assassin's Creed, but I read an interview with him yesterday where he said that he has nothing but admiration for directors who go from the independent world into the blockbuster world and manage to keep their own voice. And I just thought that was such a relevant quote, because I found that impossible.
Really? Do you think that's the general way it is, or do you think that was particularly your experience, or from what you've heard?
I don't know. I mean, I was learning as I went. Like the whole time I was struggling through massive imposter syndrome and just thinking like, oh, I'm going to get found out. I shouldn't be here. They've confused me with some other filmmaker or whatever. And so I didn't go in very confident. And so I didn't really put my foot down on very much. But I'm not that kind of person anyway. With Hounds of Love, I didn't have to, because I was working with, crew who I've known for, 10, 15 years in Perth. And so I didn't have to, put my foot down or be difficult, like it was very easy to be collaborative, but I didn't know a soul where I was working on Extinction, not one person. And I was working in, except for Emma Booth, who came in late because she played a small role, thank God. And I think that's a general thing. That's what happens in Hollywood, because, they have an agenda, and the agenda is to make money. And so, they've got all of these people, which is fine. They've got all of these different people assessing it the whole way who, understand audiences better than you, or they're very risk averse. So there was a lot of very bold things that I wanted to do with the movie that I just couldn't convince anybody that I was going to be able to do. So yeah, I think that it's a pretty general experience.
Yeah. With Extinction, it had quite a interesting path to screens. I mean, it was lined up for cinema release by Universal, and then it got bought by Netflix for distribution.
Mm-hmm.
Were you involved at all in any of that? Was it a surprise to you?
Look, I'd heard whispers of it. It was interesting because I had a cut of the film that's very different to the film that was released.
Really?
That I really like, and really wanted to, get put out there. And Uni didn't like it. And that's fine. They had their own agenda. And I was under the I thought that maybe I'd get the opportunity to show my cut to any other potential buyers, and I never did. I read about Extinction going to Netflix in the trades. I didn't even know. Yeah.
Wow. Were you disappointed, or just still happy that it was getting?
No, I wasn't disappointed. I actually think it was the best thing for the movie, because I think that in a world of Marvel, I don't know how a movie like that is a low budget compared to the blockbusters that it would have been competing with, I don't know how it would have made any money. in a theatrical. So I know that it did really, really well on Netflix. And so I think Netflix, they were great with how they promoted it. They did a great job. They were very supportive of me. They even let me go back in and change some stuff that I was really
cool.
other cut. So Netflix were a great partner. And yeah, but I didn't I didn't know that it was going to go there until I read it.
Also regarding how it was received, because you've gone through quite the spectrum with just 2 films. You went from a critically loved film to a film that got kind of mixed reviews. Now,
gosh, you can.
Yeah. do reviews and critical opinion and things like that, do they matter to you? Do they bother you? I'm really interested in how filmmakers receive this kind of stuff.
Well, it was interesting. Well, it's a really good question. So, I mean, with Hounds of Love, I remember for some strange reason being at the premiere and being completely at peace with whatever happened next, because the film was pretty close to exactly as I'd wanted to make. And so I thought, like, right, if this movie gets like 0 stars or 1 star and shit canned, like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to be a filmmaker, because I really like this and I've put so much sweat, blood and tears into this and made this movie exactly the way that I wanted to. And I made it from the point of view as an audience member. Like, I only want to work on stuff that I want to watch. And I feel that a lot of the horror/thriller movies that I try and seek out as an audience member, they're either not sophisticated enough, they're just a hook with shallow, vacuous characters and lots of gore and whatever, or there's the art house versions of them that are just too slow and don't have the thrills and spills. It didn't seem to be a lot in the middle. Like I grew up loving movies like Silence of the Lambs, which are terrifying, but have great characters and a clever story and a considered plot. And, the 90s was a really rich time for that. And as an audience member, I longed for that and I just wasn't getting it. So I decided to make the kind of movie that I wanted to watch, and that was Hounds of Love. And so it was the kind of movie I wanted to watch, and I liked it. I could even watch it as an audience member once I'd finished it and liked it. And so I was at peace with however it was received. It was different with Extinction because, the movie that went out to the world is not the movie that I intended to make, nor the movie that I have on my laptop. And so it's hard to read reviews that shit all over you when you're sitting there going, I know. Right. And so that maybe it would hurt more if it had been exactly the way that I'd wanted it and people had ripped it apart. But it was a little crushing when a lot of what is being shit canned in the movie is stuff you actively tried to change,
I think it's definitely something that a lot of people don't consider, or a lot of reviewers, even when I review films personally, it's easy to just say, well, the choices by the director are the following, and this is what I think of those choices. But in terms of a studio system film, there's so many people writing, what they want on a list, and then the director has to just say yes or no to as much as he can. And then what comes out is something that's, like you're saying, a lot of the times the director's like, that's like half what I thought was going to be there, to be honest. And then we're like, well, Ben Young did this.
Yeah, exactly. And, and it's fine. And it's part of the process. And I'm not embarrassed by the film. There's a lot in it that I really like. And I'm really glad I did it. But as far as me saying, I never give it to someone and go, this is the kind of filmmaker that I am, like I shot it to be put together very differently to how it ended up together.
Right. And
I still to this day, maybe it's my ego or whatever, I still to this day prefer my version of the film and wish I'd had an opportunity to test that. And like I said, it was a good experience and what a learning curve, to go from making a $2 million movie to a $20 million movie under such different and difficult circumstances. So yeah, all in all, I'm at peace with the situation and met a lot of great people and worked with a lot of great people. And so, yeah.